Like Persephone emerging from Hades, we long to cast off our winter garb and drape ourselves with the colors of the new season. How do we do this if it's a no-buy year? My name is Mary, and this is how I'm recording my process as I dig into questions like these in my 2019 no-buy year. If you're new to my channel, welcome. The purpose of this video is my April check-in / empties video, where I will assess how my no-buy year is progressing, where I reflect on any kind of magical transformative thinking if it has occurred, and where I dig into some of the, not temptations, but some of the difficulties that are unique to this time of year if you're attempting a full year, no-buy year. If that sounds interesting to you, please stick around. My pile of empties is larger than I thought. I will quickly speed up the camera and sort this into categories, and I'll join you in just a moment. Essentially, I have three categories for my empties. One I will move through very quickly. The skincare category I will slow down a little bit and do mini reviews on some of the products that I have emptied in April. And I really only have one cosmetic item to cover. I will link all the timestamps below. The final thing in the video will be a reflection on my spring no-buy experience and some of the unique factors that make April indeed the cruelest month. Each of these three items has to do with the process of learning how to touch up my own graying roots and apply with a darker tone, my base tone, and learning how to go in with more of a painterly effect with applying a lightening product. Feria lightener I felt was too light. Next time I'd like to go a little blonder with those highlights. And the base tone perhaps is too deep and too cool. So probably when it comes time in a week or so to repeat the process, I will use different products for that. This is just a conditioner that comes with the Garnier product. I do enjoy these brands. I hope to just learn how to push the process a little bit more so the end results are closer to that theater of identity that I envision when I think of self, and that discrepancy that I'm faced with when I actually look into the mirror. So I would like to go with blonder highlights and more of a balayage effect when I repeat this process. I did go through quite a few cotton pads. Each of these packets were about probably 2/3 through when I began April, so I've emptied both products. One is an Ulta cotton pad. These are almost designed like, I hate to gross you out, but almost like a sanitary napkin. They have a covering, they have a mesh-like covering, and I'm not fond of that. I don't see the extra step in terms of waste and processing and damage to the environment, and it does not substantially improve the product. What I'm looking for in a cotton pad is just clean organic cotton in a thick enough pad where I only need to use one. Now I have replaced these with a product from Amazon. It's an organic Habo Labo cotton pad, which I will link down below if you're interested. I actually do prefer the Shiseido, but I do prefer the cost of the Amazon product. So likely I will continue to use that Amazon product. Other skincare products that I have emptied in the month of April. It looks like I only did one mask. This is a Tony Moly hydrating mask. It is a sheet mask. It is delightful. I probably would have alleviated more stress if I had done more masks. I feel that I have 2 or 3 of this and a brightening mask remaining in my collection. Now the other skincare products I will sort of go through in order of use. I have not filmed a skincare routine for morning or evening, but I likely will do that at some point soon. Cleansers are both full-size products and sample-size products. My go-to product is the CeraVe Hydrating Facial Cleanser, particularly in the winter time. This does not strip any of the oils from my skin. I feel that I will likely use the same product year-round now that I am learning what my curated skincare collection is. I love the product. As it gets down to the dregs, generally I top it off with water 2 or 3 times, and that helps me really get every last drop of the product out. In sample size cleansers, I tried a sample of the IT Cosmetics cleanser. I enjoyed it. It is a fairly lotion-like cleanser. I see no reason to purchase something like this over the CeraVe, so for cost purposes, I do prefer the CeraVe. I did go through 2 sample sizes of the Fresh Soy Cleanser, which I enjoyed. It kind of has a cucumber-like aroma. It is a gel-like cleanser and slipperier than the CeraVe. I did enjoy using it, but I typically tend to stay away from something with that much fragrance, so I will not be purchasing these in 2020 after my no-buy year. Another cleanser I enjoyed quite a lot was part of a booklet of Clé de Peau sample size products that I received in 2018. This one is the Clé de Peau Cleansing Cream Oil, which is a lovely product. Now, I'm not sure what the full-size product is. I would have a hard time justifying this over the CeraVe, just in terms of cost. In terms of a cost per ounce analysis, this would be very difficult to justify. It is $17.04 an ounce, and the CeraVe is $1.25 an ounce. But that gives you a good idea what the cost of use is for this luxury product as compared to this dermatologist recommended product. My next empty was a sample size of the SK2 Patera Essence, which is a product I do enjoy. But by comparison, 2.5 ounces will run you $99. That translates to $39.60 an ounce, whereas you can get a lovely dupe in the Misha Essence, which is 5 ounces. You can find it on Amazon for $19 for 5 ounces, which translates to $3.80 an ounce. So it would be very, very difficult for me to justify the purchase of this product. The next ingredient in both my evening and morning skincare lineup are targeted ingredients in the form of serums. Now, here's where truly it is a blend of purchases from 2018 and sample sizes also acquired in 2018. First, I'll cover the empties, my April empties in terms of full-size serum products. I went through my coenzyme Q10 serum from Timeless and my Matrixyl Synth 6 serum also from Timeless. Now, both of these products I picked up through the wisdom and the YouTube content put together by Hot and Flashy. I absolutely trust her recommendations on skincare. Her skin type and age is very similar to my own, and she has just done years and years worth of research on skincare products. I very much enjoyed both of these serums. I cannot repurchase them because I have, in addition to various sundry sample size serums, I have other full-size serums still in my medicine cabinet, including a vitamin C serum, which I have to dole out in small doses and which will probably go bad before I use it all, because key to my skincare routine is Retin-A, which I get in the generic form Tretinoin through Curology. So I find it very difficult using that full-strength Retin-A product to get vitamin C serums into my routine. They are just too strong in combination, and I value the Retin-A use before the vitamin C serum. Now at some point my skin will likely tolerate vitamin C, but right now I really have to guard against, in my sample size products and other products that I'm trying to go through in my no-buy year, products that were in my inventory. They are very sneaky about including high-powered actives, high-powered exfoliant chemical actives, whether that is in the form of vitamin C or in the form of lactic acid or any of the other chemical exfoliants. So I have to be really careful when I'm going through serums. I always need to check the ingredients list, and I just need to avoid those and declutter those with chemical exfoliants that my skin cannot handle. Two other serums that I blew through after I ran out of those two were, I just went in for a cocktail. This is the Estee Lauder Advanced Night Repair. My skin does tolerate it because of the cost and kind of the proprietary blend. I feel like I would rather put together my own actives in a more affordable serum than go with somebody else's cocktail, which may or may not be ideal for the skin issues that I am up against. This month I did tap out my CeraVe PM moisturizer. I love this lotion. Very easy for my skin to tolerate. In the winter, I need to go with something a little bit stronger overnight, but in the winter, I find this an ideal daytime moisturizer. However, I have one backup and I have one other daytime moisturizer that I am trying to pan. So this is a sample size tube of the Lancome Soft Cream, which clearly I adored. I cut the tube, I used a swab and got every last drop of this product. I very much enjoyed this. One of the primary active ingredients is camellia oil, and I adore this moisturizer. Very spendy, and because of that cost per ounce issue, I would like to find a moisturizer with camellia oil at a more reasonable cost. This was a sample size face oil that took me just about a year to go through. I do have a backup full size of the product, which I bought in 2018 because I adore it. I started out just kind of targeting this area under my under eyes, but generally what allowed me really to use it was I would put a drop or two in with my daytime moisturizer, and I find for my winter skin that is really a necessary step for me. In the day, I mix it in with my Clinique Moisture Surge 72 hour, and it just is a lovely, lovely oil. Another oil that I sort of had to sideline is the Chorus Rose Oil. Again, it's one of its active ingredients is vitamin C, so I had to kick that to the curb for now. My skin just cannot tolerate it, perhaps in the summer. All right, we are just about at the bottom of my pile of empties. And then I will continue on with just a short reflection of 4 or 5 things that made April an especially difficult month in terms of my no-buy. This is the Clé de Peau Hydro Clarifying Lotion. This would have been a no-brainer purchase for me if it weren't my no-buy year. I would have run out and bought this immediately. I adore it. I love it. I love the Lit From Within glow it gave me. It is everything I love in an evening moisturizer. This is another format. This one is the Intensive Fortifying Emulsion from Clé de Peau. And I believe this should have been discussed during my serum. It's lovely. It's so pricey. I could easily fall head over heels for the entire Clé de Peau line. I just feel that if I do make full-size purchases, it will be very, very selective, and it would likely be the moisturizer, not the serum. There are just too many other serum options that allow me to get to target those actives to exactly what my skin needs. 2 more products in my empties category. I did go through an entire mini size of the Laneige Sleep Mask. I love this. I purchased a set at Sephora at the end of 2018 that had 1 full size and 3 of these mini sizes. This one lived in my purse. I have another that lives in my desk drawer at work, and I have a third that lives, of the mini size, that lives in my vanity, one of the drawers in my vanity in the bathroom. Now the last product in my empties, I finally went through my Chanel Le Base. I did enjoy this. I do adore what it does to my Chanel Le Volume, and it is the only cosmetic product that I had in this category. So what I was up against in my no-buy year is the Sephora sale, and I will discuss this as I transition to my reflection on my April check-in for my no-buy year. I've broken down my reflection on my April experiences with my no-buy into overarching concerns. The primary obstacle for me can best be summed up by the myth of Persephone emerging as she does in the spring from Hades. She's ready to cast off all of that winter darkness, and all of our desires are designed around casting off the shadows that we pick up in the darkness of the winter months. Now, ironically, the winter landscape is my favorite landscape for painting. This urge to cast off winter wardrobe, winter colors, winter cosmetics, winter vibes, winter drabness, winter darkness. If you're doing a no-buy year, it combined with our first Sephora sale. Now, the Sephora sale is its own brand of mass hysteria. Of course, my perception is heightened by the fact that I'm on a no-buy and sort of on a restricted diet of not being able to purchase cosmetic items. It perhaps seemed especially notorious. It seemed that every YouTube channel I follow posted a version of either a wish list or a favorites list or some sort of content relating to the mass hysteria that is the Sephora sale. Now, perhaps because it was so extreme and so pervasive and so omnipresent, it just flipped into hyperbole, into almost, it felt satirical. It felt that every time I looked at YouTube, especially, and I say this with the utmost respect for the content creators who I truly, truly adore, unpopular opinion coming, it just feels that we are being duped by these incredibly wealthy cosmetic companies. When we are out there like street vendors hawking their products, it feels a little bit absurd. It truly feels absurd. It truly changes the way I look at it. It does. I have to be honest. It changes the way I watch even some of my favorite channels. It does, because I don't want to see these content creators as hucksters for these larger companies. It has a corrupting feel to it. It feels corrosive. It feels shady. Infomercials. And I don't want to think about my favorite YouTube creators as that. And I certainly don't want to, as I rave about a product like this, I don't want to be in that position where I am part of a machine that's convincing someone else to purchase something that perhaps is, if not beyond their means, is beyond what they really want. Okay, that is as far as I want to go down that path. But it was overabundance. It did read as hysteria at a certain point, and it did serve to reinforce my resolve in a month that was challenging, quite frankly. The third thing that I was up against that's unique in my world is our Sam's Club membership had expired. For both my husband and I, the winter is a very busy time. His company, he works for a defense contractor, and they've been seeing exponential growth. I've had conferences, and the tech conferences have allowed me to sort of dip into a new kind of pedagogy in my classroom, and it's been very, very busy for both of us. So we did not have time to travel to Sam's Club. The nearest Sam's Club is about 60 miles away, and the nearest Costco is probably 70 miles away. That's one way. We have not been making those weekend runs. However, it's April, and we decided this past weekend to renew our membership, and we were up against the dilemma, well, do we want to try Costco this time? It's 70 miles, it's 10 miles further, 20 miles further round trip. Is it worth it? Is it worth it to pay more for a membership for a wholesale club, drive further, expose ourselves to the wow factor, the hysteria that can happen in one of these warehouse clubs when you're faced with a completely new inventory? We purchase things like olive oil, laundry detergent. We purchase our household necessities, both food pantry items and household cleaning items, at these big warehouse clubs because the cost is so reasonable, and it really allows us to cut our weekly grocery bill into a very predictable pattern. And we've been saving. We just about have enough money to put down 20% on a forever house that we will be able to purchase and keep this house on both of our incomes. So we are about at a major life goal, but we both decided that we didn't want to expose ourselves to that temptation. And so while I did go to Sam's Club with my husband this weekend, the only additional purchase that was made, I am ascribing to my husband. I'm saying he bought me this orchid. I am a big fan of orchids. I've had this one I don't have a huge collection. This is the one orchid in my collection. I've had it for about 8 years, and it is healthy. It reblooms once a year. This year it's given me 2 stems. This one's just about spent, and this one will bloom next. So at Sam's Club, perhaps as a reward for my reasonableness in our decision process, he purchased this lovely for me. And so I now have 2 orchids, and it's gorgeous. I love, perhaps it's my favorite, it's one of my favorite plants. I love the juxtaposition of textures that orchids bring us. I love the wiry, spindly spider legs of the root systems. I love the lush paddle greenery, and I absolutely, of course, love the flowers. So that is the extent of the madness that happened at Sam's Club. We basically stuck to our core inventory, didn't buy anything for the house, didn't buy anything that was not a non-essential, with the exception of that orchid. And I am blaming him, so I have not failed my no-buy. All right. The fourth thing that made April especially difficult was it was my spring break. It was my spring break, and although I feel the pressure of being a public school educator, a spring break, you feel that the light is at the end of the tunnel. We are just about at the summer, and while the start of my summer will be consumed by 2 different conferences, they're both related to integrating technology in the classroom, and so I'm very happy to do those conferences at the beginning of my summer so that I can spend my summer working my way through folding those experiences into my curriculum. However, spring break is generally my time to drive up to the streets at South Point. That is a sort of indoor-outdoor mall in Research Triangle Park. It's about an hour, 15-minute drive from here. It's between Durham and Chapel Hill, North Carolina. I typically make a trip up there in the summer and over my spring break to check out my favorite retailers. There is a Nordstrom, a Sephora, a Macy's, a Madewell, Ann Taylor, an Apple Store, a Loft, a Sur La Table, a Williams-Sonoma. All of my favorites are up there. And generally, retailers have their seasonal sales. So in the summer, I'll go up there and hit the sales. The Nordstrom anniversary sale will be a massive temptation for me this summer. So I like to go up there and check in once or twice a year and pick things up. Spring break was before the Sephora sale, but this year I had that temptation in the back of my mind during spring break just about every day, and I did not cave in. I believe what I did was I focused on filming. I downloaded an app for my iPad that allows me to edit video in more interesting ways than what iMovie will allow me to do. So I sort of spent that week diving deep into technology and learning a new app. So that distracted me. That was a productive distraction from the mindless act of shopping. The only thing that I'll say for the fifth category, the stressful job idea, is that bringing technology into the classroom has allowed me to completely reap the rewards of highly engaged students. The relationships this semester have been remarkable. We have solid reciprocal trust. And my challenge will be to maintain that reciprocal trust, to not flip back into the kind of teacher that's too reliant on test scores, because final exams are just around the corner. And state-mandated final exams are those high-pressure tools that essentially evaluate the effectiveness of my teaching. And like it or not, that is the tool that is used in probably every state in the union. And state funding is tied to test scores, so it is a pressure cooker. I allow research and technology and student voice to guide my teaching completely. And I reap the rewards of that every day in the classroom, but now we're at the point where it's go time. My students need to be able to translate that experience of our classroom to a higher level of success on the mandated state exams. And honestly, we've had powerful experiences in the classroom. They should translate to higher test scores. The question remains, will they translate to higher test scores? And also, what are all my thoughts on that? I'm not a big fan of multiple choice tests for measuring student ability. So I have a lot of that to process. And that leads to stress, and that leads to many, many, many more hours mindlessly wandering the internet shops while I'm at home instead of doing something perhaps more interesting or more productive for me. The sixth thing that made things slightly more edgy for me in terms of my no-buy year in April were all the spring releases of neutral palettes, especially those by Chanel and Natasha Denona. So I have maintained my course. However, the larger Chanel palette is just absolutely lovely, and also the Natasha Denona Biba palette is just really, really a major temptation, and available at the Sephora sale. So it is what it is. I'm still coasting on that idea that Sephora has just duped us all into free marketing, and the rewards aren't as great as they should be for the fact that we are huckstering their product. 20% is not big enough of a bone, Sephora, if you're watching. All right, the seventh thing that makes this difficult for me, and this is the final aspect to my reflection, is that I am slow to empty products. I can watch other product pan videos, and I'm just amazed that people use up product as fast as they do. And so it's a slog for me. Panning products is a slog for me. My empties, I had one cosmetic item in my empties this month. I had some skincare. I had some sample sizes, but I'm slow. I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't think it's a good thing. I just don't. I do wear foundation every month, perhaps because I mix my foundations. I just don't go through them that quickly, and so it feels that content may become a challenge for me one day, which works against my no-buy year in a weird way. And I will leave you with that thought. Thank you again for joining me. I've really enjoyed your comments in videos that I've posted. I'm getting to know some really, really interesting people through this fascinating social medium. Enjoy your afternoon or evening or whatever it looks like where you are. Ciao.